So to talk about the comp plan a little bit and just answer your kind of question about the comp plan earlier. So the 2012 one was the one that UTA did for us, and so they were master's students basically under the guidance of their PhD doctorate and professors, and they did this for us for free. It's about $1 million project, by the way, that they did for free as part of their master's thesis to graduate. They also did this for our parks, which they did an amazing job. I was on the parks board back then as well, and so a lot of those projections that you're talking about, the cut in the cemetery, is just like kind of like ideas and concepts of what could and what might happen. And again, these are just kids who have been told here's your problem, here's your solutions, here's what other cities have done. And so that's just that kind of projection. So it's not really like a serious thing, but it's a guide. And that's what a comp plan is. It's a guide in the compass. On the flip side of that too, for that same road, and also coming from the Kroger, that road, and everything going south to Price, everything like that, we knew that there was going to be growth, and we were prepping for it around 2012, and we reevaluated that comp plan in 2017. It just says 2012 on the bottom and 2017 on the things that we edited, but it's basically we kind of updated it back then as well. But the projections of where everybody was going to live and how fast it was going were spot on. We just not spot on the timing. And so now that timing is here. And now we're getting to almost 10 years to that comp plan with only one edit. So, and that's where the kind of thing is that nobody knew that it was going to be a Kroger in 2012. But they've always talked about expanding that road over there with the bridge. And now it was one of those things that maybe we built that, then the Kroger would come, but it was too late. We drug our feet about it. But now this opportunity by us dragging our feet, that it's that 80-20, Arlington's willing to pay for part of that moving up to Kennedale on that side by Kroger, and we can expand that. And everybody needs that. Everybody needs Dick Price to be widened right now. Everybody needs that bridge on the south side because of our projections for the next 10 years. So with that in mind, the comp plan, and this has been discussion with other candidates too. I'm sure you guys have watched that. Do we need to update it? We kind of check mark it in 2017. So do we start from scratch, or do we do another 5-year check, or is it for a good thorough 10-year check? And I'll go ahead and start with you, Chad.
Oh, with me? That's what I'm at. Okay. Yeah, it's that 10-year mark. That's about the time where you really take a deep dive into your comp plan. When I was with the city of Grand Prairie, we rebuilt our comp plan from the ground up, from scratch. We actually had a comprehensive planner on staff, so they were constantly doing comprehensive updates and amendments to that and guiding it forward. We don't have the budget to keep a comprehensive planner on staff. That's just not feasible. That's $175,000 a year we don't have. But is it time to update our comp plan? Yeah, but I think one thing that we really need to do, and it's one thing I said beginning on, is you ask 10 people from Kennedale what Kennedale is, you're going to get 10 different answers. And I think that's something we as a city need to spend more time opposed to the comp time is, what is Kennedale? I think there needs to be a little more concise vision from us telling us what is Kennedale, so that we have a better way to guide what we build as the comp plan, because the comp plan should basically be your business plan with that ideology being the goal that you achieve from that comp plan.
Yes.
Now, nobody's going to come and rezone property. That's not the point of a comp plan. So, like before we were talking about this whole area, it's got this thing under the comp plan. Well, nobody's going to force people to change their zoning. That's private property rights. That just doesn't happen. But the goal of the comp plan is when something does come up for sale, somebody does want to develop, we look at it and go, does that fit the guide that we've established? And then we take it from there and we look and we go, well, it's close, or yes, or no. And then you have to make those judgment calls when it's close, or, and kind of go from there. And it covers everything from your transportation plan to your infrastructure plan to, do you need or emergency alert systems. That's another thing we've had to do. I mean, what's the status of our emergency alert system here in Kennedale? Well, when's the last time we had a really good, solid, nasty, ugly storm? Well, actually,
February.
We got lucky. I'm going to use that term loosely. And
it was cold.
February. Just
yeah. I spent a lot of time outside just a couple of weeks ago. Well, I guess it's been a month now, delivering stuff and shoving people sideways. So I mean, there's some things we
times.
need to look at, and some things that can really, benefit the city if we take a deep dive in it. So personally, it's time for a dive into the comp plan, with the caveat of, I don't want to pay $1 million for it, because I know they're expensive. I think our end cost for the city of Grand Prairie was a little over $1 million. What it wound up costing us in meeting times, staff time, development time, printing costs, because you got to print it. That's a legal requirement. You got to print it. So there's some legalities there, and some overtime that'll be involved. So whatever we can do to minimize that, I'm all for. So it's kind of a cost versus use. And I've heard another potential candidate say that, do it for 50 years. I'm like, it's smaller gaps than that, because things happen way too fast.
Especially right now.
Take a dramatic left turn real quick all of a sudden if certain opportunities come up. So 10 years is a good mark. We're coming up on 10 years for that. I think now's the time to start really doing the back end work and getting some citizen input. And then that way, when you go into 2022, you start rolling that citizen input into the first, frameworks of a new comp plan structure. So
sure. James?
Yeah, if I was looking at outdated information, I do apologize. So yes, we definitely need a new comp plan.
Mm-hmm.
As to allude what Chad was saying, people look at Kennedale and they say, what is Kennedale? And you get to different answers. According to the city's website, we actually have a brand. It's You're Here, You're Home. And to be quite honest with you, 30 years ago, when Kennedale was still a small town, it was all about racetracks and good old times and stuff like that. So yeah, our comp plan definitely needs to be redone. It's we don't have a brand anymore. It's we're basically like the redheaded stepchild sandwich between Arlington, Mansfield, and Arlington.
No doubt.
And I mean, to put that in some kind of a literal way, we don't need ivory towers of Fort Worth and Dallas, that's for sure. I mean, definitely don't need anything like that. But Arlington's going through its own identity crisis right now. Kennedale's stuck in the middle. We need to get out of the middle, but we don't need to become a mini South Lake either. We need to keep, our identity. That's what we need to keep. Kennedale streets and roads should be enhanced, improved, and handle more traffic without increasing any taxes. We should have an extensive network of linear parks and trails. It's not happening. We only have 2 parks here in Kennedale. One of them belongs to Arlington. We need a new comprehensive plan that is more up to date with today's views, probably even future views. Start getting, again, our citizens' inputs, because to be completely honest, if there's 10,000 people living in Kennedale, we need their input. They need to know what's going on. They need to have an input about the city if they want one, which is entirely why I started running, because over the past couple of years, I've been watching city councils. I've been going to them. I've been watching on Zoom. There's not that many people that actually tune into them. So it's just like, why?
So I keep hearing this, and this is no attack on you, James, but that the South Lake term, you're not the first person I heard that from. And in fact, the first couple of people that I heard that from are the same people that when they're trying to do something for the city, they compare us with things like comparable size. And I've always been a loud voice. This is why I bring it up. I've always been a loud voice saying we're not like Mansfield or whatever city they found outside of Houston, because we're unique in our 6x6 square area next to Fort Worth and Arlington, right next to 287, A20 and 20. It makes it unique. And so I just don't understand that, because everybody's saying the same thing. And as somebody who has his fingers kind of on everything around here, everybody wants the same thing: small town feel with 6x6 square miles. The only thing we can do is get more people and stuff them in here. But it's still going to be a small town. And I just never understood what that we do not like South Lake. They have, really expensive lots, really expensive houses, but they also have, nice perks and things like that that people do want. Even me, as a father, I want good parks. So I'm on the parks board, and I want, facilities. I want businesses to prosper here. Geez, I would love that, as a business owner. So I'm just not sure of that, but we all want the same thing, and that's a small town feel. But that doesn't mean, again, it's no attack on you, James. I'm just on my soapbox. That doesn't mean that we don't have to grow or get ready for growth, or just even get out of the way and make it clear to allow growth to happen. What y'all's comments on that? I'll go ahead and start back with you, Chad.
In my opinion,
Oh, James.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
In my opinion, Kennedale needs a brand that's modern, but actually,
When you're here, when you're home, that's the brand.
I'm
Kennedale,
sorry?
you're here. Kennedale, you're here, you're home.
Yes, that is the brand that's on the city website, but it's we need something else. You know, our comp plan should provide direction and tools for preserving the small town character without sacrificing growth and development. But I don't know how you do both.
At least we're lucky. Like at least SpaceX is not buying our town up. And
Thank God. I don't know if you want Elon Musk to go down the road or not, but hey, my thing is that we need a brand. We need a new one. It's modern. That's, more modern, more, hip. But we also don't need to give away our small town feel. We don't need to give away.
I agree.
We need to preserve our history.
I agree completely.
Our racetracks, that's our history.
Mhm.
And one of them doesn't even operate anymore. The railroads, that's our history. I mean, it's Union Pacific. I hear them 7 times a day. We need to preserve our history, have that small town feel, but without giving away the farm.
Okay, Chad, any comments?
Yeah, I think the hesitation of trying to find that word in James's response earlier when he said identity, I think that's really the core problem. Is Kennedale has lost its identity. It doesn't know what it is. And so that's where everyone struggles when they go, we don't want to be like this, or like this, but no one, not one, I wanted to say a bad word so bad. One dang person can tell you what Kennedale's identity is.
They just want the small town feel. That's what everybody says.
Right. It's a small town feel. That's great. I grew up on an Indian reservation. I've grown up in small towns all over Oklahoma and Texas.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Every one of them has a different vibe. Well, what's our vibe? What are we known for? What do we need? And I think that's where Kennedale really needs to get down to business, is getting in there and say, well, what do you want to be in 10 years? Do we want to have heavy mom and pop stuff? Or do we care if Chick-fil-A comes in on the corner? And how do we do that? And one of the things I've pitched for year after year is, and I'm going to piss some people off right here, our town center is garbage. Mm-hmm. It needs to be bulldozed and started over. And there's no reason. And if we can't afford to do that right now, then why can't we use the space as a freaking small business incubator?
Sure.
I would rather subsidize small businesses, because the biggest thing that I ever had trouble with starting my businesses was going from my office space in my home, which is, multitasking everything I can think of, to getting that first brick and mortar. And it's scary and it's hard, because you go, okay, so I'm going to go from paying nothing for rent to big dollars.
Oh yeah.
There's no reason we shouldn't be trying to incubate these businesses to go, let's get you in the door, get you understanding how it's going to work, let you build through that process, increase your rents over the year. And then now it's time to go out. We've incubated you, go find your new space somewhere in Kennedale and build a new building. I think that's a great idea, but deaf ears on every side. So I don't see why we can't be a small business mecca. I would love to see Kennedale be a small business mecca.
Well, and to follow up on what James was talking about too, about the racetracks, it takes entrepreneurs to open up those racetracks, those other 2 racetracks. There's only one running, and they'll run for however long they're going to do it. And I have no problem making that whole district an entertainment district, where I have a problem.
Man, I thought it'd been awesome if, now I'm just going to blank out the dang name of that Big 8 parts store that came in. I buy parts from them all the time. The warehouse down there at 360 and I-20. We have the racetracks. We should have put it here. Let them do the hot rod stuff here.
Yeah, and see, my biggest issue with that whole area right now is we're on the TIF, and we're coming up to halfway on that TIF, and we've only gotten so far in this. And yes, there's a development coming up over there. They're about to sell, $2.5 million land over there. But we could, if entrepreneurs would jump on board and buy up the old tracks and fix them up however the government wants it.
I think that's a big misconception of what city council does. I think there's a very large group of people that think city council basically says what businesses, this is going to be a Subway and this is going to be a Chick-fil-A. And that's just not how it works.
Yeah.
If
Basically,
that's how people, I'm sorry, but if that's how people think, yeah, no.
I hear it every time at city council of like, why don't you bring us this? Well, that's not our job.
That's
Our
not how
job
it
is
works.
basically be the pretty girl going, we look good over here. We have these amenities. We have these things that you really like. We have the people that will come to your stores, and we try to put that best foot forward, and we go fishing for them. And sometimes you get them and sometimes you don't. But I think Kennedale really could be a small business mecca. I mean, I really see us being a town that could support growth from within for people that have that entrepreneur spirit inside them but are afraid to take those steps, that we could be the city that encourages that and gets the American dream out there.
I mean, how many doors over there are currently, locked or, that are for lease? I mean,
a few. Right. And they haven't even built what, 2 or 3 of the other buildings that are supposed to be built.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's supposed to be, I think, 2 or 3 more that are supposed
to be. 2 more
built.
buildings. There's 2 more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's just like at the same time, our you're right. Our town center it's garbage.
Laid out all wrong. It doesn't make any sense.
It's busy though. A lot of people complain saying that it's not busy, but I know there's a whole building that's empty, but all the other businesses are held on for a long time. The antique one has got 50 businesses inside.
In there and it seems so busy because the roads are all laid out janky.
It's definitely small.
Everybody's driving everywhere to get 2 feet away.
Have you been in the Dollar General recently? Have you been in the Dollar General recently?
Yeah.
Not recently.
Okay. How long is it in October? Not now. They have cobwebs everywhere.
I know people have complained, and the property managers have said something to it, but that's how I feel about Walmart. By the way, outside of that front, that's just ridiculous.
I mean,
but I agree with you, Chad. I think like it just and I just think it's dangerous that council should ever tell what should not or should go there. We shouldn't have those apartment complexes. We shouldn't allow the liquor store to go there. I think it's very dangerous because
forces that dictate that.
Because one, it's your property, James, for example, and it's my investment. So what business is it yours, Chad? Like as long as council lays out the plan work, like this is what we want. That's all they should do is make a clear path and so people like me and investors and developers understand what the rules are. And private property owners can do what they want with their.
And truthfully, one of the biggest problems we've had over the last couple of years is inconsistency in the plan. Sure. Is developers come with great ideas and they're like, yeah, these are great ideas, and then what they thought was going to go through all of a sudden gets derailed at the last minute. Well, at this point, they spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to get it there, and then they're just kind of left holding the bag. And when that happens enough time, the development community backs away from you, and you'll get a bad rap as a city. Is like, you can try, but I mean, it's like, shark eat shark. And so I think we just need to be more consistent on what we do as a council in whole, to show that, hey, we're about growth, but we're about structured growth and planned growth, that we're not just going to let you just willy-nilly come running through and go, woo! It's going to be, these are the rules. This is what we're willing to tolerate within this scope. So if you want to do something outside of this scope, that's all on you for risk. But if you're within this scope, you should feel comfortable bringing that to us because you're within the design parameters.
Go ahead, James.
But let's be honest. You just brought up the liquor store, Jeff. So, do we really need one that close to a school? No. That's my opinion. Also, I don't drink, so I'm a little biased on it.
Sure.
That
just means you won't shop there. That doesn't mean your neighbor doesn't.
Yeah. Vote with your dollars. And
that's again free market and entrepreneurship.
Yeah. Well, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis back in 2018. So,
which by the way, the owner's super nice and he's super about the community, and it's amazing that we're lucky we got him. The one that was denied, which was a super great company as well, would have been a nice one as well. But like I think even Chad, you brought this up at the time. We can vote no for this there, and when we get the benefit, we're going to go to raise, which
you can look at that.
Called it.
I said exactly that. I said we can either let it come here under very tightly controlled parameters. And we're talking way tighter control than what this guy got. Yep. And we would have picked up a Mexican food restaurant that could have sold it there because they would have been able to sell there. So we lost a big time restaurant name and we lost the packaging store. And I said, because what's going to happen is we're going to lose all that control and they're going to go right over next door and just build right on the property line, just like they do. And boom, now you have zero say in what gets to go there. You have zero opportunity to have any control over it, because at least this was city property and somebody was paying the bill that on those leases there. But no, now we're still sitting with
I believe you even called it more of that. You said Rays will go out of business and they'll just buy Rays. I believe you even
I said that
said
exactly.
that.
I said Rays will go out of business and they'll just buy Rays and put a liquor store there.
You're psychic.
Boom. Like I had a crystal ball or something.
Yeah, and I thank you for and I know that you guys didn't get that question before, but I thank you for doing that follow up. I just think it's really important that people kind of, I guess, understand what the line is, and a lot of times too, and Chad will tell you this too, that when you get there, you know, and you're involved, and then it kind of clicks. You know, you can say it one way, but the reality is different. So, and I'll let you guys do a little closure, but I just want to thank you guys personally for coming out. It's definitely my favorite. It was the most natural coffee chat I've had yet. As far as conversation, everything else has been kind of almost debatey, but I appreciate you guys. That was amazing. And then I'll let you.
I appreciate it, James. Man, this is fun.
Yeah.
I appreciate it too. So I mean, hey.
And James, I'm willing to work on you too on that entertainment district down there by the racetracks. Like, let's get
yeah, dude. I'm all about that. I think
let's do it.
with the talent pool that we
get
have, people. Kennedale absolutely should be an entertainment district. I mean, we're in the perfect spot with all of this highway infrastructure around us. Yeah. It's super easy to get to from anywhere. It's one of the reasons I moved here was I can get anywhere fast. Mm-hmm. And that means anybody can get here fast. And I think we're set up to be a sub entertainment district, because if you want to call what they're doing in Arlington an entertainment district, no, it's just a sports zone. That's not an entertainment district. Let's show them what entertainment's about.
What they're doing in Arlington is, like I said, that's why they're going through their own identity crisis.
Yeah, they are.
Not anymore.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah, they killed themselves with the Airbnb thing.
Oh God.
Oh man, that was the issue 2 years ago. Okay,
that's a whole other argument.
Yeah. So, again, to everybody at home, I want to thank you for watching this so far. This is definitely going to be an amazing one, and the longest. You guys are officially the longest, so. I appreciate y'all, and just so everybody knows, early voting starts on the 19th, and so make sure you go out and vote. If you guys ever need help with voting, I know Josh Altum's offering anybody who needs wheelchair accessible to go vote. He's got a van. I know Chad will take anybody out there. I'll take anybody out there. I'm sure James, I see you nodding your head, so I'm volunteering James. He's going to volunteer too. So just reach out to me. I can arrange it, or reach out to any one of these candidates, and anybody around here. We'll make sure that you get to the voting. To the polls. So with that being said, I thank everybody at home. Thank you, the Rotary, for sponsoring us. And James, why don't you give us a little closing first?
Listen, I thank you so much to Jeff. Thank you so much to Chad for agreeing to do this tonight. I do appreciate it. The Rotary Club, thank you for sponsoring. It's going to be up to the citizens to decide who they want and their city council. I'm here. I'm offering my services. I'm a voice for the citizens, which is why I've also, I've agreed and actually want to, after every city council meeting, do like a roundtable with citizens, so you can have your voice heard. So based on fact, based on fiction, based on whatever you want to talk to me about, I want to listen to you. I want your input. That's just. We need to go in the right direction. We need an identity. We don't need ivory towers, but we need a direction. And there are some currently on the council that don't see that, and I want to provide that.
All right, Chad, sign us up.
Well, yep, sure. I'm using the same motto I used last time: committed to community, dedicated to progress. And I believe I've stood by that. I believe I've kept that as the focus. That every decision I've made has been community oriented. Everything that I do in the community has always been community first. I hope my service record has shown that. Whenever there's a need in Kennedale, I'm the first one to show up with some kind of a solution, or helping find a solution, or getting things done. So I appreciate the trust that the citizens have put into me over the last 2 years. And I hope that you continue to put your trust in me and move us forward in the right direction, so that, Kennedale can remain prosperous and continue moving forward in that direction, and continue to be prosperous and grow. So that's what I'm going to say is, community first and dedicated to progress. So you vote for me.
All right, Kennedale, you had it there. You've watched all of our series for the city side now. That's all 3. So just go ahead and go to our YouTube channel. I do have it under the playlist of election 2021, so you can see them all as well. And we'll repost them here a little bit in playlists as well. What we have left is just one more on the ISD side, and then I also on the last place of the ISD will do a one-on-one, just so you can get introduced on the non-contested one. So Kennedale, you decide, you go out and vote. Make sure you got there early voting on the 19th, or go for the May voting yourself. This is Jeff Navarez reporting Kennedale News.